So this monster GPU is finally in stock at its original MSRP, but it doesn't seem like anybody's really buying it. What is the major reason or set of reasons why this is happening? I know it's weird to say that. Of course, MSRP, that's the price you should pay for something, right? Well, not so fast. You guys know the terrible pricing that's gone on the last 2 years, especially if you follow the channel. So this GPU is now at MSRP pretty much everywhere. This is the AMD website right behind me, and you can buy it for $999. That is the 6900 XT. It seemed like the price hovered around $1,500 or $1,600 for most of the year, and when it was really bad, I saw 6900 XTs for well over $2,000. Even some models like the Asus Strix with the AIO, I remember Micro Center selling that for like $2,400 or $2,500 or something crazy like that, along with the water-cooled models. That was absolutely an insane markup, and it brought it pretty much to the price of the RTX 3090, and as we saw happen, most people will still prefer an RTX 3090 over the 6900 XT. So the question is, it's now in stock. What are the reasons that it's really not selling? It's still available on the AMD site. It's been actually for the last few days, even the last week, and even Micro Center just dropped their price down to $999 as well. First, let's discuss why it's not selling. It's still way too expensive. AMD priced themselves as sort of a premium GPU on the market, and don't get me wrong, their performance is actually phenomenal. The 6900 XT in some games even beats the 3090, and this is around half the price of a 3090 or 3090 Ti. So performance is definitely there in traditional rasterization. We'll talk about ray tracing a little bit later on, but performance is there. The price is still too high because people flat out prefer Nvidia over AMD. For whatever reason, maybe they prefer the drivers, or maybe AMD drivers have a little bit of a reputation of having some issues. Nvidia even made a joke of it recently. So that's definitely going to be a pretty big factor. People have more trust in Nvidia as a premium GPU. Now, AMD did create a premium GPU, as we saw with the performance of the 6900 XT versus 3090, but still, the public sentiment is that it's not quite the same as an RTX 3080 Ti or even a 3090. Those GPUs do have other benefits that people tend to prefer. So that's going to be the primary reason. $999 is still a little bit too expensive. Now, if this was $799, I think it would do considerably better. Maybe that's the ideal price point. After all, a 3080 was $699, which was really an ideal price point, but now it's also hovering around $900 to $1,000. So it makes sense. $999 isn't terribly over, but point number two is that the new generation should be here soon, so probably people that have bought a high-end GPU really probably have done so already during the last year, even though the prices were inflated. So this GPU is not cheap enough for people that were waiting to buy the GPU, especially considering next generation is here. It seems like the refresh of AMD GPUs, it's only going to perform a little bit better. We're not talking about the all-new, 7000 series. Maybe something like a 6950X should be a couple percentage points better, and the pricing hopefully stays the same or even gets a little better. That could potentially happen if demand continues to fall. That's going to be a big reason why people are actually holding out. And to prove the price is really the main issue, even at $999, regardless of what performance it puts out, look at the 6800 XT and the 6700 XT, 6800. Those typically will sell out considerably faster. AMD doesn't have a 6800 XT in stock at $649. Why? $649 for a 6800 XT. Performance is very close to the 6900 XT, and it's considerably cheaper, and it's even $50 cheaper than an RTX 3080's original MSRP. That's the price people want to pay. $650 for 6800 XT level performance. People are okay with that. Even the 6800, even though that's a different tier GPU, the 6800 XT is much better. It's even much closer to the 6900 XT, but that's the range that people feel more comfortable paying in. If those GPUs were in stock, then you would know it's a whole other problem, but those are consistently sold out. In fact, I rarely see them, but the 6900 XT you see literally everywhere because it's too expensive for the minor performance gains that you will get over the 6800 XT, and unfortunately it's not Nvidia. I happen to think AMD did do a pretty good job with their GPUs. I happen to like them, but if I had to make the choice myself between an Nvidia and AMD GPU, Unless the AMD was much cheaper, I would likely go with Nvidia. Here are going to be some more reasons. Now, ray tracing. Some people may say, oh, but it's not important yet, or it's too much of a penalty. When you combine ray tracing with Nvidia's DLSS, it's really much superior to anything that AMD has produced with FSR or any of their other scaling technologies. Now, I can understand a typical person won't care about this if they're buying maybe a budget or mid-range GPU, but let's be honest here. If you're buying a high-end GPU like a 6900 XT or an RTX 3080 Ti, you're going to want to turn the graphics up high. That's why you're buying a GPU. You want every single technology, every little bit of speed, and every little frames per second boost that you can get, and that's why it seems like you're sort of compromising by getting the 6900 XT when a 3080, which is going to be around the same price now with the 12 gigabyte model, isn't going to be too far off in traditional rasterization, but it's going to be, in many cases, considerably better in ray tracing performance, especially when coupled with Nvidia's DLSS, which just basically means your frame rates will stay high and the game is going to look as good as you would think. So that's really a major issue on the high-end GPUs. If you're spending that much, you want to turn on all the eye candy. I know that part of splurging on an expensive GPU is being able to tick the Ultra box, even though it's not that big of a difference between Ultra and High or Highest. If you're going to spend that much as a PC enthusiast, you want to push your system to the limit, and ray tracing is part of that technology, giving you better shadows, better lighting, better effects. It's one of the niceties of having a high-end system and a high-end GPU that can push it. So for high-end buyers, that's why they prefer Nvidia over AMD, even though if you were going to play at 1440p, a 6900 XT without ray tracing can beat a 3090, in fact, in many games. But the moment you want to do maybe 4K or even turn on ray tracing at 1440p, you're going to see the 6900 XT start to quickly fall behind even something like an RTX 3080 and especially a 3080 Ti and above. So Nvidia specific technologies like that, you just have to be realistic. People prefer them at the moment in time, even though AMD has done a good job for their first really high-end GPU in a very long time. Not taking anything away from that, but you can't really expect them to completely dominate Nvidia in their first time out in sort of this range of competition. So whatever they've done so far, definitely great for competition, but still that explains why Nvidia is still bought over something like a 6900 XT, even though I'm sure a lot of people will buy even a 3070 Ti or a 3080. Even if they're close in price, they probably choose that just because it's Nvidia, regardless of a 6900 XT. And like I mentioned with the examples before, it's not even a bad decision per se, because if you value ray tracing and DLSS and you want the Nvidia encoding and everything else, it may actually make more sense to get a little bit cheaper Nvidia GPU that may actually perform better in some of those metrics if you're not out for traditional rasterization. Alright guys, so let me know down below, would you buy the 6900 XT at $999? Or is it something you're going to pass and wait for next generation to come out? Or perhaps you may even go for an Nvidia counterpart. Remember to leave the comment down below, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.